Ever heard of a ghost story that's actually true? A story where over 100 people vanished without a trace? Well, buckle up, because today we're re-diving into one of America's oldest and most chilling unsolved mysteries, the lost colony of Roanoke. Picture this. It's 1587. England is trying to get a foothold in the New World. A group of about 115 men, women and children, led by Governor John White, land on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. They're full of hope, ready to build a new life, a permanent English settlement. This wasn't the first attempt, but it was the most ambitious. It included families, and the first English child born in the Americas, Virginia Dare, who was John White's own granddaughter. But starting a colony from scratch is tough. Supplies were running dangerously low, and their relationship with the local Native American tribes was, to put it mildly, complicated. Some were friendly, like the Croatoan tribe, but others were hostile after previous English expeditions had soured relations. So, John White makes a difficult decision. He decides to sail back to England to gather more supplies and reinforcements, leaving his family and the entire colony behind. He promised to return within a few months. It seemed like a solid plan. But fate, and a massive war, had other ideas. As soon as White got back to England, the country was preparing for a full-scale naval war with the Spanish Armada. Every available ship was commandeered for the war effort, including the ones meant for the Roanoke relief mission. White was trapped, unable to return to his family and his colony. 3 long, agonizing years passed before he could finally secure a ship and make the treacherous journey back across the Atlantic. Imagine his anticipation, his fear, his hope, as his ship approached Roanoke Island in August 1590. But when he landed, he was met with an eerie, gut-wrenching silence. The settlement was gone. The houses had been carefully dismantled, not violently torn down. The entire population, all 115 men, women, and children, including his daughter and granddaughter Virginia, had vanished. There were no signs of a struggle, no bodies, no skeletons. It was as if they had been erased from existence. The only clues left behind were 2 cryptic carvings. The word CRO was carved into a tree near the shore, and on a sturdy post of the fort's palisade he found a single, chilling word: Croatoan. Croatoan. What did it mean? Was it a message? A warning? John White immediately thought of the nearby Croatoan island, which is now Hatteras Island, and the friendly tribe of the same name. Before he left, he had instructed the colonists that if they had to move, they should carve their destination into a tree. If they were in distress, they should add a Maltese cross. There was no cross. This suggested they had left willingly, perhaps seeking refuge with their allies. White was desperate to sail to Croatoan Island to find them, but a massive storm was brewing. His crew, fearing the hurricane, refused to go. With a heavy heart and dwindling supplies, White was forced to return to England, never to see his family or the lost colonists again. And just like that, the Roanoke colony was swallowed by history, becoming America's most enduring mystery. So, what happened to them? Let's explore the theories, from the plausible to the downright bizarre. The most widely accepted theory, and the one John White himself believed, is that the colonists assimilated with a local Native American tribe. The Croatoan carving points directly to this. They were running out of food, their leader was gone, and integrating with a friendly local group who knew how to survive in this new land makes perfect sense. They could have simply packed up their belongings and moved south to live with the Croatoan people. There's some compelling evidence to support this. For centuries, reports from explorers and settlers in North Carolina mentioned encounters with Native Americans who had gray eyes and lighter hair, spoke some English words, and even claimed descent from the Roanoke colonists. The Lumbee tribe in particular has a strong oral tradition that their ancestors included the lost English settlers. In the late 1800s, they even petitioned the government for recognition, citing their connection to the Roanoke colony. DNA testing in recent years has been trying to find a definitive link, but the results so far have been complex and inconclusive. But not everyone is convinced. Another popular theory is that the colonists were attacked and wiped out. But by whom? One suspect is the Spanish. They had a fort in Florida and saw the English colony as a threat to their claims in the New World. Did a Spanish patrol stumble upon the small, vulnerable settlement and eliminate it? It's possible, but there's no Spanish record of such an attack, and they were usually meticulous record keepers. Plus, remember, the houses were dismantled, not destroyed, which doesn't fit the pattern of a violent raid. What about a hostile Native American tribe? We know the colonists had tense relations with some groups. Could they have been ambushed? This theory gained traction from a report by John Smith of Jamestown fame, who claimed that Chief Powhatan told him he had wiped out the Roanoke settlers. However, this account came years later and could have been a boast or a misunderstanding. Again, the lack of bodies or signs of a battle at the original site makes a wholesale massacre seem unlikely. Then there are the more dramatic theories. One suggests they tried to sail back to England on their own. They had a small ship, a pinnace, left with them. Perhaps in their desperation, they decided to risk the treacherous Atlantic crossing. This would almost certainly have been a suicide mission. A small ship, overcrowded with colonists, against the vast ocean. It's a tragic thought, but it would explain the complete lack of physical evidence. They would have been lost to the sea, forever. And of course, where there's a mystery, there are fringe theories. From alien abduction to a time-slip portal, people have come up with all sorts of fantastical explanations. While these make for great science fiction, there's zero evidence to support them. The truth is likely far more grounded, and perhaps far more human. So where does that leave us? For centuries, the story ended with John White's failed return, but modern archaeology is starting to write a new chapter. In recent years, archaeologists have been focusing on a site on Hatteras Island, the original Croatoan island, and another site called Site X on the mainland. At these sites, they've found a fascinating mix of late 16th century English and Native American artifacts. Things like a piece of a German-made stoneware jug, part of an English rapier hilt, and lead shot for a musket, all mixed in with local pottery. This suggests that at least some of the colonists might have split into smaller groups and tried to integrate with different native communities. The CRO carving could have indicated that one group was heading to Croatoan, while others went elsewhere. The dismantled houses? That could mean they took the pre-cut timbers with them to build new homes at their new location. It was a practical, sensible move for people planning to resettle, not for people fleeing in terror. So the mystery isn't so much that the colonists vanished into thin air, but rather where they went and what their lives became. They likely didn't just disappear, they assimilated. They became part of the land and its people, their English identities slowly fading over generations, leaving behind only whispers, legends, and a few tantalizing clues in the soil. The story of the lost colony of Roanoke is so captivating because it is a human story of survival, hope, and loss. It is a stark reminder of the challenges faced by the first Europeans in America and a testament to the resilience of people trying to build a new life against impossible odds. They weren't ghosts, they were people, and their story, their bloodline, might not be lost at all, but simply woven into the rich tapestry of America. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.